ChatGPT hasn't been around for too long in the grand scheme of the universe, but in the short amount of time that it's been here, it's already radically transformed the art of writing. The way things are going, you might question if there's even a future for the art of writing. But I think there's also a large majority of writers who are quietly tinkering and exploring with this new technology and finding out how it can assist them in making better work. I use ChatGPT every day in my writing, and I've taken it on as a sort of personal project to explore what ways can I use ChatGPT for each stage of the general writing process. I thought it would be a fun series to explore some of these uses that I've discovered and maybe share with you some ways you can use ChatGPT in your writing that you haven't thought of yet. Since one of my main struggles as a writer is dealing with the huge mass of notes that I create in preparation for a book, I thought it would be a fun first episode to delve into how you can use ChatGPT to manage your notes. Let's take a look. Okie dokie artichoke. So here we are on the ChatGPT screen. I'm going to assume that you already have an account. There are two ways that we can attach our notes to ChatGPT. First off, the easiest way is down here in our message bar, we've got this paperclip icon. And if we click that, that gives us the option to upload from a computer. There's another way you can do it. If you have the paid version of ChatGPT, then you can create custom GPTs. I'll do a separate video on custom GPTs, but the short of it is they have a knowledge base section where you can attach a bunch of your files and ChatGPT can reference those in your conversations. But for this video, we're going to use the attach function, which is available in the free version of ChatGPT. So let's start with something basic. Let's ask ChatGPT if it can outline a book that I have written. Maybe this is a work in progress and I'd like kind of a bird's eye view of my themes, my ideas, just to make sure that everything is coherent, it makes sense to another reader, ChatGPT in this instance. Okay, so to attach one of my works in progress, we'll click the attach icon. We'll go to upload from computer. I've got some works in progress here. I'll choose this file called the Art Garden, which is a short ebook I am working on. Click open to attach the file. And now I'm going to ask ChatGPT to read and outline my work in progress. We'll say something like, please read and outline this book in progress. The section headers should help you to outline the work. Now I put this secondary part here because we don't want to presume that ChatGPT is more intelligent than it is. One of the things I've found from trial and error is sometimes you need to be really obvious with asking ChatGPT what you would like. So if I didn't include this note about the section headers, it's possible that ChatGPT would disregard the section headers entirely and give me an outline that isn't necessarily true to what I wrote. So this second part is just to help ChatGPT out a little bit. We'll click this black circle icon and we'll see what it does. Okay, so ChatGPT has done a marvelous job of outlining my book. I see the big section headers here. I see some subsections and bullet points listing the main points of each section. If you are an orderly person who works from an outline, this can be a great way to make sure that another reader can follow the outline that you've made and that the ideas you're trying to express are the ones that are actually coming across. If you're a disorganized person, then piping your writing into ChatGPT and asking for an outline can be a great way to get a sense of maybe how you could organize the book. Maybe some of the main points that you're trying to say but weren't totally clear on yourself. This outline seems true to what I was trying to say in the Art Garden. Now let's see if it can read my entire book and give a short summary. Please read the art garden and give a brief summary. Okay, so it's given a summary. I wouldn't call it brief, though. Let's see if it can summarize my book in one sentence. Please summarize the art garden in one sentence. All right, so let's see what it says. The Art Garden by Kyle Heath is a guide that uses gardening metaphors to help artists simplify their creative process, maintain a relaxed and focused mindset, and prioritize personal satisfaction and originality in their work. Pretty good. Sometimes getting someone else's take on what your work is about can help clarify for you how you're communicating the things you are. So it's helpful for me to see that what ChatGPT thinks my book is about is pretty much what I think my book is about. Next, let's look at notes. Writers have piles and piles of research that they need to consult while they're creating their work. And sometimes it's hard to dig through the pile to find the stuff that you want. Say you're writing a nonfiction book and you've interviewed a bunch of people. Maybe you'd like to find all the quotes that people say about a certain topic. Like, say you're working on a nonfiction book and you've interviewed all these people on the subject of bird watching. But you remember a couple people said something about sparrows, and you want to pull up all the quotes about sparrows from your whole body of interview notes. You can use ChatGPT to do stuff like that. Now, I'm not writing a book about bird watching, so I don't have anything about sparrows, but I can consult a big body of my own notes and try to pull up quotes. Let's see how ChatGPT does. So I'll go to Attach, Upload from Computer, and I have this file called Big Wad of Notes for ChatGPT. Let's open it. Okay, and let's ask ChatGPT to find some quotes in here. I know I've been reading a bunch of Zen books lately, so let's see if ChatGPT can read my notes and pull out some quotes from Zen masters. Please read Big Wad of Notes for ChatGPT. It's good to be real specific with this stuff. And pull out for me any quotes by Zen or Chan Buddhist masters. All right, so it has extracted some Zen quotes for me. I should mention that Big Wad of Notes is about 70,000 words, so it can handle pretty big documents. But we've got a problem here too. If you look, you see number 2 is supposed to be a quote by a guy named Yun Men, but then there's no quote. There's a note under here, but no quote. Note, but no quote. Let's see if ChatGPT can find this quote. On point 2, you referenced a quote by Yun Men, but you didn't give a quote. Please show the quote. We'll say please. It's good to be nice to these ChatGPTs because they might become our overlords one day. Search. Okay, so this time it pulled out a quote. He says, "It absolutely doesn't matter what you eat or drink. It's how you digest it." Very good. So ChatGPT has dug through 70,000 words of text and pulled out specific quotes on a subject that I requested. Next, let's see if it can pull out and organize ideas from this same pile of notes. I spend a lot of time trying to organize all my disorganized thoughts so that everything I say about creativity or something is all in one place and I can figure out what I was trying to talk about. If I could get ChatGPT to help me with something like this, it would save me a lot of time. So let's ask ChatGPT if it can read through Big Wad of Notes and pull out ideas about creativity in the document. Please pull out ideas about creativity from big wad of notes. And also, let's add something else to this too. Let's say, please express my basic ideas about creativity. So here, I'm asking ChatGPT to make some logical connections about my thoughts that who knows if I expressed clearly or not. So let's see how it does with this request. All right, so it has dug through my entire document and it's pulled out some themes about creativity from my notes. We've got something about stress and creativity, creativity and simplicity, creativity as openness. Cool. And then I like this. It has referenced a specific quote from the document to corroborate that I was saying something about this point. And it even has a link here, which is just showing that it's referenced this quote specifically from big wad of notes. So it answered my first question about pulling out ideas about creativity, but it doesn't look like it expressed my basic ideas about creativity. Maybe I should have been a little more explicit here. Maybe I should have said, read through this whole thing and say what I say about a certain aspect of creativity. So why don't we try that? Let's look at one of these points. It says I said things about creativity and originality in writing. So let's see if it can pull those ideas out and say something about it. Please read big wad of notes and tell me in your own words what I say about creativity and originality in writing. Okay, so apparently I've said a lot about these subjects in my notes. It's organized this into creativity in writing, originality in writing, and notes on the writing process. Now let's see what it says about my writing in its own words. How about, let's look at originality in writing. Point 1, originality versus usefulness. That's kind of a salacious idea. It says, most originality is often useless because it reinvents what has already been perfected. However, true originality can shatter preconceptions and expand humanity's understanding and possibilities. Very cool. I know I've never said that specifically, but I've said a lot of stuff about that more or less. So it's done a good job of reading a whole bunch of my thoughts on originality and usefulness and simplifying it into one basic idea. In some ways, ChatGPT has done some thinking for me here. This is a big time saver for me in pulling out my ideas. Rather than having to reread all of my notes and search for everything about originality, I can ask ChatGPT to help and even simplify the ideas. So next, let's see if ChatGPT can pull out themes from a document. Here I will attach my work in progress called Wordplay and see if it can tell me what the book is about, maybe the top 5 themes of the book. So here I will upload the file. And let's say, please read this document and tell me the 5 most important themes in your own words. Also, quote from the document to support your view. So here we go. It's read my book and notes, which I think is about 150,000 words or so, and it is giving me its summation of the points of the book. It's got a description in its own words and a quote. Pretty cool. At first glance here, though, it looks like maybe everything that it's saying is important about the book is in the first chapter. Now that is ideally true. I like to think that I expressed the whole idea of the book in the first chapter, but just to make sure that it didn't just read the first chapter and stop, I'm going to ask it to read the entire thing and see if it gives a different answer this time. Please read the entire book, and out of the context of the whole book and notes, tell me the 5 most important themes. So we'll see if it gives an answer that's any different this time. All right, so I'm happy to report that it's basically given the same answer. And this time I notice that it's pulling quotes that are later in the book. So that tells me that maybe it is reading the entire thing and it's still arriving at the same conclusion. You could use this same feature in your random notes too. You could have it read all of your notes and tell it what are the 5 most common things I talk about. And that might give you guidance on, say, maybe a book that you could write about, or the things that seem to be developing and appealing to you in your daily morning writing sessions. So let's do the same thing with Big Wad of Notes and see what 5 themes it pulls out. And we'll ask, please read this big wad of notes. Tell me the 5 most important themes that come up again and again. Great. What I love about this is sometimes these answers can come as something of a surprise, especially with the stuff that you haven't developed yet. So, predictably, I see things about creativity and originality. Yeah, I talk about those things all the time. But then it's got this interesting thing at the bottom, balancing opposites. What do they say about that? There's a recurring theme of balancing opposites, such as productivity and rest, creativity and relaxation, and intention and spontaneity. That's cool. I never made that connection in my notes, that a lot of the things I talk about have a kind of yin-yang thing going on with them. This suggests to me a possible direction I could go with a new book. And on a related note, here's another thing you can do with your notes. You can ask ChatGPT to pull out a random interesting idea. This is something I like to do just to kind of freshen things up while I'm writing. I can't go back and read everything that I've written, so sometimes cool things just end up buried in a pile. But I can ask ChatGPT to pull out something randomly from the pile, and maybe that'll spark some kind of inspiration today. So let's ask ChatGPT, please read the big wad and pull out one interesting random idea. Okay, so this is interesting. The idea is productivity's cleanest fuel is unproductivity. That sounds like a Zen saying in itself. What ChatGPT got from my idea is, instead of continuously striving to be productive, one should embrace moments of unproductivity. These moments of rest, relaxation, or even boredom can build up a reservoir of potential energy. Marvelous. This is an idea that I love, and it's great to have it brought to the forefront of my mind again. So let's do one more thing before we finish this up. We started this by asking ChatGPT to outline a book that I'd written quite a bit of. Why don't we see if it can outline a book based on this idea that it just brought out? Productivity's cleanest fuel is unproductivity. I said this could work as a potential book down the road, so let's see if it can read everything in my random notes and then pull together a perspective outline for a book on this subject. Please read Big Wad and make an outline for me on a book about productivity's cleanest fuel is unproductivity. Super cool. So it's laid out a perspective book based on this idea. We've got the introduction, defining productivity and unproductivity, and the paradox of unproductivity. It's mentioned previously, I apparently love paradoxes. And then it's got a whole list of chapters based on the subject. Got a chapter about the science, that's nice and authoritative. Case studies, wonderful. Now, it's not clear to me how much it's pulled from my own notes to make this outline, because reading through this, the outline does seem kind of generic. So let's see if it can do a little bit better. I'm going to ask it to reread my notes again and then make an outline that's based solely off the things I have written. Alright, so it's rewritten this, and I can already see that it's pulling more from my own work. For example, Chapter 2 talks about embracing unproductivity, and one of the sections is historical perspectives, and it mentions an example that I love, Neil Gaiman staring at trees. Basically, one of the ways Neil Gaiman cultivates creativity is he goes outside and says, okay, I can either write or I can sit here and stare at trees. He stares at trees until he's bored of that, and then he feels a lot of inspiration to write. So it's pulling from my own notes now for this outline, which makes it much more personal. This is a good start for me to plan out a book based on this theme. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you found something in this video that might inspire you to explore some ways that you could use ChatGPT in your writing that you haven't explored yet. If you're interested, I have written a book on the subject. It's called ChatGPT for Authors, and in it I explore in detail each of the areas of the writing process and innovative ways, to me at least, that I think you could use ChatGPT to write better. I'll share a link to the book down in the description page, and I also have the first 30 pages for free. If you want to just try it out, I've got a link to that down in the description as well. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.